What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to CFL Central. We have some breaking news, even though it's old news for you guys as this video is uploading the day after it broke. But nonetheless, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have just shook the CFL and their entire free agent market by signing two of the biggest players out there right now. Two of their also biggest free agents in Adam Bighill and Zach Collaros. The three-peat looks to be a possibility. All the pieces are coming together. Carter, how are you feeling right now, man? Because I'm excited.
How am I feeling? How am I feeling? We in a matter of like 2 to 3 days, because we're also going to talk about, we also signed two others, being Jesse Briggs and Shane Gauthier.
Yes, we did.
We in a matter of about 3 days, we've locked up our entire linebacker core, as well as the league reigning MOP in Zach Collaros, and
the defensive player of the year of the CFL as well.
And MODP with Adam Bighill.
Like that's crazy that we just signed the best defensive player in the entire league and the best offensive player on this exact same day, like hours apart.
Yeah. There are some people who would argue with your best offensive player apart, but
you know what?
But whether people would argue with it or not, there is no denying that he is top 3.
You've got 2 complaints with Zach Collaros if you're a fan of the CFL, okay? And those 2 complaints that you might have about him, the 2 losses or whatever, he can balance it out with 2 Super Bowl, Grey Cup. It's late at night, ladies and gentlemen, and my mind is thinking about the NFL because there's so much shit going on right there with the Super Bowl around the corner. I saw the halftime show announcement get released. Dr. Dre, Kendrick Lamar, it's crazy. But nonetheless, back on the CFL.
And then also, thank you so much for all the views on the Alfred video.
Yes, actually.
Another thing. So,
NFL related as well. Thank you for that. Glad you guys are enjoying the news.
1.7K as of right now. Probably more later.
We're glad you guys are enjoying all the videos and content here on CFL Central.
It's the 3rd video ever.
Well, but let's jump over and talk like you said. We have the MOP for Zach Collaros. You go in, you look at his stats. He's been in the league for a while. Since 2012 was when he broke in, but we don't have to look at any of his stats prior to the last 2 seasons with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and let's in particular look at this season, right? We know that he played the 13 games for the season, and this year was an incredible season for him. He threw well over 3,000 yards, which is crazy, and he threw for 20 touchdowns, which isn't even his career high, 25 from 2014 with Hamilton.
This is now his 3rd time hitting the 3,000 yard milestone, and the one season, and the closest season that he got to that where he didn't get 3,000, he got 2,999. So he's might as well have 4,000. Off by 1 yard. That's gotta stink.
And that's coming off of a season where a lot of fans and analysts expected that he might draw NFL interest, but he comes back to Winnipeg on a 1-year deal.
I was worried about that.
I was too, but what it comes down to, and like I told you right after the Grey Cup had ended, I told you, because we were talking about it within the coming days, I said that I really think that we don't have much to worry about going into free agency, because I think that this team sees a three-peat. They know how close it is, and they want to be that team to do it. I believe there hasn't been a three-peat in the CFL in well over 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. So they want to be that team. They want to establish themselves as the best dynasty we've seen in football in the CFL for probably since the 80s, I could say, in the 90s.
I think the last time a team did that was the Edmonton Eskimos going from the 70s into the 80s. They won like 4 or 5 in a row, and that was.
They want to establish themselves as a modern-day dynasty as the best, and I really think
this is one of the best Bomber teams, if not the best Bomber team we've ever seen.
Exactly. This is the best Bomber run we've seen since going back to the 80s. That's how good of a team this is. When you look back at the Hall of Famers on those teams in the 80s. Yeah. I really think that what it comes down to now, and you can get into Big Hill stats, you can get into Collaros stats. What I think it really comes down to has nothing to do with that. I think that, like all analysts and any fans that follow this team know, Coach O'Shea has these guys on a system that works to a T. Every single player going to the practice squad, to the starters, knows what their role is, and everyone can jump into any role at any time due to injury, need, or matchup. And I think that's what makes this team such a championship, is that the locker room is so tight that it's more than a family. It's almost like a computer system, like a program. Everyone is so calculated in there, and everyone knows what to do in every matchup. That's how you build a winning team. And we've seen that in back-to-back seasons, and then you keep all the key cogs in that machine. And other than obviously losing Elford, which sucks, I don't think the Bombers have taken a single L to start this entire offseason. And when you think about it, other than Andrew Harris, we've signed almost everybody that we really needed to sign. There's a lot. There's some wide receivers areas that might get tricky. I believe Kenny Lawler is also an unrestricted free agent as well, and there's some elements on that side of the offense now that we're going to have to address. But the defense is the heart of this team, and the defense is completely locked up almost. So that's what matters in my opinion.
And you got to imagine with players like Kenny Lawler and some wide receivers that maybe are unsigned right now, seeing both, your MOP quarterback locked up as well as a significant portion of that offensive line. You got to imagine that they're liking what they're seeing and that they might want to come back and join this team again, because you got to remember how big a portion that offensive line was for the throwing game for the Bombers. Because, I mean, the offensive line, no offensive line, I don't care how good your quarterback is, he's not going to be getting that much done because the defense is going to be running him over all day. And so I got to imagine these receivers seeing what's happening in these signings with the offensive line as well as Zach Collaros, that they got to... this has got to definitely pique their interest for sure.
Oh, without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
I like I said, if you're even a role player, like a good role player that might have a chance on being maybe a higher up position or a higher up the depth chart with another organization, but you see all these leaders coming back and you see the potential of being a three-peat on like a good role player in a good situation. Because let's be real, the Bombers are one of the most respected franchises, if not the respected franchises in the CFL, because of the fans, because of the organizations. Right, exactly. Like even the Simpsons are joking about us right now, and in the good sense, right? Like we are the talk of this league, and that is with good reason, right? Like we've won back-to-back Grey Cups. I really think that at this point, the Bombers have nothing else to really prove to their players, especially from the management side of things. They've shown that every player that's been important, from the supporting cast with guys in the line on both sides of the offense and defense, that they're bringing in the role players, they're signing the big players. Stanley Bryant comes in, Big Hill's in, like all the guys that you need to sign have been signed, and you've signed the backups too. It's honestly kind of shocking how well the Bombers management has been able to handle this. It's like, all right, everyone, you're all coming back, and everyone just unanimously agreed, and then one by one they're handing out the contracts. That's what it feels like.
Especially when you got 1 million guys on 1-year deals, that's difficult.
Exactly, and especially with the COVID era where you could have other money in some other teams. Like we know that Lucky Whitehead just got a really nice extension and made him the most highest paid receiver in the CFL. We know that the Bombers have other options that they're going to have to pay out in the offensive side of the ball. There's money being given out regardless of COVID that people need to realize. So there will be questions going into the rest of this free agency, as well as quarterback and everything else with money. Now that Collaros is off the market, you have the potential of Mike Riley becoming an unrestricted free agent if he chooses to opt out of the BC contract. The whole landscape of what the CFL free agency is right now has drastically changed over the last 24 hours, and I cannot imagine that this week coming up is going to be quiet. I really think we're going to start to see teams panic because, if Collaros is gone, other players are going to start to see that, the big dogs are signing, and you got to have to make your move.
And like I was saying, with the Bombers locking up this many really key pieces to this team, I mean, seemingly all of them, with the exception of Andrew Harris, who we all know Andrew Harris will not go anywhere else.
If Andrew Harris goes anywhere, it's to his house because he's retiring. He's not leaving the park.
But I doubt that, based on everyone re-signing and the fact that if he was going to retire, we'd already know about it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We would already know about it at
exactly.
this point. And like we were going back to the receiver portion of things, I think the Bombers are going to lock up probably most of their receivers, maybe lose one or two. And you have to remember that there were even the Bombers, they had some receivers who didn't even play that were pretty good. Like if you look at a guy like Naaman Roosevelt, who, I mean, there was a point where he had, like, if I just quickly look here, he had at least one or two 1,000-yard seasons or something like that. I'm just going to quickly check just to confirm here.
Because again, key depth like that is important. Underrated depth like that is important.
He didn't even play. He had 2,000-yard seasons and one where he was only off by 40 yards.
And we have that as a backup, ladies and gentlemen.
He was a backup. Didn't even play. So it's one of those things where, let's say the Bombers re-sign most of their receivers, and they lose one or two. Say maybe you lose Wolotarski. You're not losing Dembski. You're not. Winnipeg boy. He's not leaving.
No, he's not.
Especially after this. Let's say someone offers Kenny Lawler a huge contract. Kenny Lawler's gone.
Kenny Lawler, I think the biggest potential with him isn't leaving the Bombers. It's going to the NFL. I really think Kenny Lawler gets interest in the NFL. I'm surprised he's signed already.
Wherever he gets this big payday, let's say someone offers him this heap of cash, whether that's in the CFL or somewhere else, okay? Then you have a guy like this go into the lineup if you re-sign him, because I think he was on a 1-year deal as well. But it's one of those things where you tell this guy, hey, we got a roster spot open. We know what you're capable of, and this is the squad we have. So you can be a part of it if you want. Here's the deal. Are you signing it? I think it'd be crazy to say no.
Well, yeah, I totally agree with that as well. Like, and besides, like I said, the big thing that a lot of these guys are thinking about is that three-peat. They want 3 rings. Who doesn't want 3 rings? If you're a professional athlete, I don't care if you're making $500 million. That's very, very nice in the dream. But your real dream is winning and having a legacy with winning, and that's what these players want. These players want to go down as some of the greats. It's why I guarantee that Harris will come back. He wants the most yards ever by a Canadian running back. He wants those records. He wants a three-peat to end out for this career, and I think the Bombers are really setting themselves up for it. But yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap up, ladies and gentlemen, this video here on CFL Central. We'll be back with more when more CFL news breaks out. Also, let us know what type of content you would like to see us post. Right now, we're obviously covering the CFL free agency and signings because it's the off season, but if there's like a history video, a ranking video of stadiums, or hell, anything you want to see that is related to this awesome league up here in Canada, let us know in the comment section below, and we will do our damnedest to bring you that content. So all of us from here on CFL Central, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Jake, that's Carter. We hope you enjoyed. See you guys in the next one. Peace, love, and positivity as always. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, morning, whenever you're watching this. And go Bombers go.